Hey, what's up, everybody? This video is part of a series of videos dealing with personal finances and personal budgeting. I'm going to put this same intro at the beginning of each video. So one, if you've already watched the intro, you can go ahead and skip to today's topic. Two, if you see my clothes change or the nice virtual background change, the reason will be because I recorded the rest of the video on a different day than I did this introductory video. So the point of this series is simply to do very quick, hopefully 2 to 5 minute videos where we discuss a lot of topics dealing with personal budgeting and personal finances. So I'm going to record all of these. I have probably over 20 ideas for these really short videos. I'm going to release one a day over the next 3 to 5 weeks. And if there's a topic that you want to hear about, please go ahead and post it in the comments. Maybe it's one that I have coming up, and then I'll release that one in the future. Or perhaps it's something that I haven't talked about or thought about on my list, and I can address that as I continue the series. So without any further comments, let's go ahead and jump into today's topic. If you are a diehard Dave Ramsey fan, you might want to stick your fingers in your ears for just a minute, because I do believe that there are good types of debt. I do not come down on debt quite as strongly as Dave Ramsey does. I'm pretty sure he only promotes mortgages, not even promotes them. I mean, he wants you to pay your house off as soon as possible. So we'll say that Dave Ramsey allows mortgages, and I'm pretty sure he really only talks positively or neutrally about 15-year mortgages, even though the vast majority of people are on 30-year mortgages. He doesn't recommend that. He wants you to pay your house off as soon as possible, no matter what. So I think that mathematically and financially speaking, there are good types of debt. Now, I agree with Dave. I think that debt is more than just a financial or a mathematical equation. I think there's emotional, I think that there's mental weight here. And so we have tried to eliminate as aggressively as possible any debt in our family as well. So I'm not saying that I necessarily disagree with him on the fact that eliminating debt is good, I think, overall. But I also am not as strongly against all types of debt as Dave is. So let's break down the differences between what might be considered good debt and what is absolutely bad debt that you need to eliminate and avoid at all costs. Big picture view here. Good debt might be debt that you can earn more than the cost it takes to incur it. So for instance, if you have a home mortgage interest and you were lucky enough to refinance a couple of years ago with a, say, 2.5% interest rate. Well, if your home mortgage is a 2.5% interest rate and the current rate for putting money into a CD, this is, I'm pretty sure CDs are FDIC insured. And so, assuming that the federal government doesn't go under, that money is pretty much guaranteed to be there for you. You're not going to lose it. If you can get a CD with a 4% interest rate and your home mortgage interest rate is 2.5%, then if you were going to take $100,000 that you saved up and stick it on your home mortgage, you're going to save 2.5% interest. Whereas if you took that same 100,000 and stuck it in a CD right now, you could earn 4%. So you're clearly earning more than the cost of borrowing that money. That, in my opinion, would be a good debt, because you're going to be able to not only cover the cost of your debt, you're going to be able to also earn more above that. So again, mathematically and financially speaking, that's a good debt. I'm going to say it again, though. Mentally, emotionally, you might want to pay off your house. Now, there is nothing you can put on paper in a math equation that will quantify how good it feels to be debt-free. So that is not at all what I'm saying. I'm just saying there are potential opportunities here for good debt that I don't think you need to feel guilty about or think are bad choices in your personal finances. These are okay things. Another one might be business debt. Perhaps you have a great idea to start a business. You need to borrow some money on credit from a supplier or from the bank with a small business loan in order to purchase inventory to start your new business. That could be good debt as well. Now, it's absolutely risky because maybe you don't sell the inventory and you're still on the hook for that debt. So there's always risk with debt. But perhaps you decide that you're willing to take that risk, and this is a good debt potentially because you're going to be able to earn more over the long term by launching this business than the cost that you incur by taking on this debt. Another one might be a loan for a rental property. Perhaps you have enough money to put down a down payment and you want to start investing your money in real estate. And I know, again, this is one that Dave kind of, I think, that's where he went bankrupt, right? Was in real estate. So there's absolutely risk here. Again, I say it again, that's not what I'm saying. It's not a no risk thing, but if you have it and you feel comfortable with this and you're able to put down enough, and given your personal circumstances, you might be able to make money by leveraging someone else's money. That's really what debt is. And actually, if you calculate the rate of return on real estate, it's higher rate of return if you do leverage someone else's money. That brings on risk. Okay. So you got to balance that for yourself in what you're willing to do and what you're able to do. If you have the cash sitting around to be able to pay that off, then the risk is very low, because you're not going to default on a mortgage on a rental property if you have the extra cash laying around to be able to pay it off at any given time. So there's just nuances here that I don't think Dave Ramsey goes into when he's on his radio show, because he's talking to the masses and he doesn't take time to explain all these nuances, because everyone's going to think that they're an exception to the rule. Anyway, enough about him. Let's continue on with the bad types of debt. I think credit card debt would absolutely top the list of this, because the things that you're putting on a credit card might be food and clothing. It's items that are consumed. It's items that are not going up in value. They're going down in value. And credit cards also have the highest interest rate that I know of, aside from payday loans and those types of things. But a credit card loans typically range anywhere from 12 all the way up to maybe 30%, with the average probably being in the 18 to 19% range. So you're paying an extremely high amount of interest to be able to utilize this money for items that you probably don't need, probably shouldn't have bought in the first place, may not even still own or be usable by the time you pay this debt off. It could take longer to pay it off than the item actually lasts. So that's absolutely horrible debt. The next one I would say is car loans. Now, I get it. They're out there. A lot of people have them. The car loan almost maybe does fit into the category with the home mortgage, where it's really difficult for most people to have a car without having a car loan. I understand that. I personally have bought used cars to avoid car loans. I've had pretty good luck with that. I mean, I'm not going to argue with anyone who's bought a used car and ended up having to throw a ton of money into it because it was giving them problems. That has not been my experience. I'm no mechanic. I just kind of use common sense. I'm not saying that will help you avoid all problems. It absolutely won't. But so far, I've been fortunate enough to not have to deal with major issues. Yes, I've had repairs. Yes, the repairs have been more than you would have had on a new car, but the cost of those repairs are far, far less than the cost of actually buying a new car. So yeah, there were some repairs. Yeah, I came out of pocket for those, but the cost of buying a new car would have far exceeded those repairs on those used cars. I would absolutely avoid this debt. Again, the interest rate is probably going to be a little higher for a car. And also your car is dropping in value significantly as you use it. And so it's very easy to become upside down. What does that mean? Upside down means that you owe more for the car than what you could sell it for today. And that puts you in a very risky spot, because if you can't make the car payments or something happens and you need to sell the car, you may not get out from under kind of that yoke that you're under, because if you owe $20,000 on it, you can only sell it for 18. Great, you sell it. You didn't get any money out of that. And oh, by the way, you still owe the bank $2,000 more. So it's impossible for you to get out from under that. And that happens so frequently because of how fast cars go down in value. So car loans are in my opinion, a horrible type of debt that you can avoid. I promise you can avoid. I actually have a video from a few years ago on how to pay cash for a car. And so jump over to that video and watch it as well. It's going to take time, and it's going to take a lot of intentionality and discipline, but you're 30 videos into this budget series, so you can absolutely do it if you stick with this type of budgeting. The last thing I'll mention here, is this video is getting pretty long, is the payday loans or the refund anticipation loans. You do these when you go to these mass scale tax firms that prepare your taxes for you. But the interest rate on these, it doesn't seem bad. 2-3% of a paycheck when annualized like that could be 150%. I mean, these far, far exceed even credit card interest rates. And it's ridiculous. These payday loans where you get a loan against your future paycheck, or where they will give you your refund now and you don't have to wait for the IRS to give it to you. Usually it's only going to take 2 to 4 weeks for you to get your refund, and they're going to take a few $100s to give it to you now. And so the interest rate on that actually ends up becoming extremely high. So those avoid maybe even above and beyond the credit card debt is to avoid those types of debt as well. The last thing I'll say about debt is you are absolutely under a burden here, under a yoke. When you borrow money from someone else, you are on the hook to pay them back. You have a legal obligation. So if it's a car, it's a secured debt, which just means that there's collateral for that debt. If you don't pay that debt, the lender can come take your car. If you don't pay the debt on your house, the lender can force you to sell and take the money from your house. So when you owe someone else money, you are not fully in control of your finances. You give up some control. Now, we did talk about some good types of debt, but the main thing there is making sure you're actually still in control as much as possible and you're earning money, but there's still risk there. So again, like I said, I'm not as hard as Dave Ramsey, where I think all debt is bad debt. I do think that there are some situations where, given your particular circumstance, it might be a good decision and a perfectly fine decision to maintain some of that debt. But at the end of the day, I think you are going to have a higher level of peace. You're going to have a higher level of freedom and enjoyment to eliminate all debt. And so that's what our goal is, and that's what we strive for. My name is Brad. I'm with Wooten CPA. My goal is to bring peace to your tax and accounting responsibilities. One of the ways I do that is through these videos here on YouTube. Please like this video, share this video for others to see, and subscribe to the channel if you would. That way you're also notified when new videos come out. There will be over 20 in this series of personal finance and personal budgeting that I'm going to try to keep in that 2 to 5 minute window, so they'll be easy to digest for you. Hopefully that they are helpful for you, and I appreciate you watching the videos.